Guys, we've got an absolute perler for you today. Today we chat with Jakey Weatherald.
Colin Ingham's still to come as well. And this time over cover, if you don't mind, from Weatherald. Jakey Weatherald.
He's just had his Ashes debut last week in Perth and now preparing for the test in Brisbane.
Weatherald, big drive, 4 runs, forward at cover point. That was a lovely shot.
His journey from starting in the NT, the first ever player actually to come out of the NT, which is pretty cool. We discuss mental health, how he's come out the other side of that. We share some great stories. He talks who's the best sledger in the game, the Barmy Army, how they were getting stuck into him at the Perth test. There's so much in this. Hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, he's a superstar. He is an absolute superstar, Tom Mitchell. Cripps at the back. Cripps is too good. Neil, yes! Oh, how good was that?
Weathers, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, mate. Can you talk to us, first question, what it's like debuting in an Ashes series?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a pretty cool experience. Obviously, as a kid and a cricket lover, you grow up watching the Ashes and what it means to the Australian public. So to be a part of it, first game was pretty cool, but yeah, pretty nerve-wracking.
It definitely was. And the first innings for both sides, obviously there wasn't a lot of runs scored. It looked at one point as if the test was going to be over in, as little as 2 days, but obviously it extended out slightly more than that. And the second innings in particular, which you were involved in a great partnership with Travis Head, what was it like being out there with Trav when he just put on that absolute clinic?
Yeah, I've been very vocal about how much I respect that guy and the way he goes about his batting, saying that I think everyone envies around the world be able to play with that freedom. But yeah, for me, it was just trying to find a way of making sure I did my thing and then and got him on strike and let him smack him around. But yeah, to walk out and just sort of make my first run and try to get off the mark and all that sort of stuff. It was a cool experience.
How do you ease the pressure with opening the batting? Because there would be so much intensity and things like that around it. I couldn't quite imagine the emotions you go through, especially in a debut. But what do you do to calm yourself before an innings?
I think it's evolved over time, but for me, it's always just trying to get back to the fact that I've got all the skill there, and I've got to be able to back what I'm doing when I walk out the bat, and try to keep it pretty clear that at the end of the day, it's between me and the ball, and no one else. So I just walk out there and just sort of have that attitude of fuck this. If it happens, it happens. Yeah. If it doesn't, batting's a failure-based sport. You're going to fail more than you succeed. So for me, if I'm in a good position mentally and I can watch the ball and react well, I'll be in a good place.
That's really cool to hear, because I feel like that applies to footy as well, not to the extent of batting, but you go out there to play knowing you've done the work and you live and die by the results.
Yeah, exactly right. You can't control that, unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, you wouldn't be so happy about succeeding if it wasn't the phase you go through. So.
For sure. And what are the plans for the Brisbane test? Obviously, pink ball test, so the game will start around 2 p.m. How does that affect your preparation? You wouldn't have played as many games that start a bit later and obviously head into the night, but how does that affect your prep?
I'm pretty casual with my prep nowadays. Obviously, getting to a good age in my career where I've played a lot of cricket and played a few Shield games, day-night games, but at the same time, it's probably just extending it out a little bit on game days, trying to sleep in as long as you can, and then getting into the game and just getting into the prep sort of stuff. Getting out there and doing your visualizations and stuff like that, and making sure that you're getting ready for the game in the way that you would normally in a game. And if if you're starting at 10 a.m. sort of thing. So just extending the game day out, and not trying to change too much, but it is difficult.
For sure. And I hope we haven't affected your prep too much, because you've been very generous by getting up nice and early to jump on the pod with us, which we do really appreciate. And what about the preparation in the lead up? So the test match is later this week, but you mentioned prior to the pod, there's optional sessions, there's compulsory team sessions. You'll probably get some extra sessions in the nets, I assume, and working on the specific things you need to. So talk to us about these next couple of days, what you're doing every day to get ready for the test match.
So my prep would have started about 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. Obviously had a bit of a break. We finished that game quite quickly. which was a cool experience. So that means, get to go home, do some family time, make sure I get to relax. And then once I had about 3 or 4 days off, I was, my prep for my skill-based stuff was straight away. So I sort of planned it all out, had all my sessions planned out for myself. It's always self-driven.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to this level. It's not really something you need to, to run past the coach or anything, apart from my main session. So for me, it was, just plan those sessions out, get those sessions in. So I have my own coaches. I went and trained with South Australia for a bit.
Yeah.
When I live in South Australia in Tassie. So, but back home I live in South Australia. So I went and trained with them, did my pink ball stuff. And then last night we rocked up. We had our first night training. So got some fielding done. And then we went into the nets and just faced bowlers. Like for me, it's all about facing bowlers and preparing for what I'm going to face out in the middle. I've got my routines, and that's basically all I focus on is my routines between each ball, and then competing. And then I don't. From a skill-based point of view, I've sort of got to a point where I'm not really focusing too much on my internal movements and my skill, like exactly skill-based stuff. It's more getting to a space where I know all my skill can come out. It's just making sure that I get my routines down packed.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually watching the ball properly.
Yeah.
So the next few days will be just speeding that up and facing a lot more quick bowlers. Obviously, they've got a lot of quicks coming in their team. So preparing for that and having, obviously the Jofra potentially doing some visualization around what he's going to look like and a few of the other quicks and what it might look like out in the middle and between that twilight period. In the game, and then from there it's sort of just little things like that, but generally around my routines and making sure they're really solid. And so when I walk out the bat, I can just trust that when I'm out in the middle, I can go back to my routines under pressure, basically.
Yeah, it is such an interesting thing with how quick they do bowl and the preparation you would have to do that. And you mentioned just there that you like to face actual bowlers. So who's the toughest to face in the nets out of the Aussie boys?
Well, most of the boys don't really face any bowlers, so they face the wangers. So I'm one of the rare few that face them. So I generally get the full brunt of everyone.
Yeah.
But they're all pretty tricky. If I faced Pat last week for the first time, really, when he was preparing to get back, and he bowled the speed of light, and the wickets of the whacker are tough. They make you work for everything, and they can be a little bit scary. So he was probably the hardest I've faced so far, but Starkey was sort of found some rhythm in the nets as well too, and that was pretty scary too. So it was good. I love that stuff as an opening batter, but sometimes you just want to hit a few out the middle, which you don't get many of.
Yeah, that would be tough because Aussie, obviously we don't want to create a headline here, but he was pretty vocal around how tough the wicket was in Perth, and especially when these guys are bowling so quick. But how do you complement, like you say you like to face bowlers, but do you ever get on the bowling machine? Like this is a question that we had from a fan that sent one in, but what is the quickest you've ever set the bowling machine to, whether it's with mates to have a bit of fun? Have you ever pushed it right to its limits? What's the quickest ball you've ever faced?
Yeah, you definitely do. You can get it up to 160 sort of thing, which is obviously quite fast. Probably not. It's not too realistic just because the actions and stuff like that. You don't get any cues. Like obviously when you're facing a bowler, they run in and then they go through their action and everything works well. And you sort of get a good visual cue of it, but with the machine, it just comes out.
Yeah.
So it can be quite tough actually. With anything over 140 with the machine feels rapid. It feels way faster than you probably feel when you're facing a bowler. But like at the same time, when you guys bowling 150 sort of thing, that just feels fast in general. So you're just hoping the skill comes out at the right time there sort of thing.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how much you can talk to your plans for Brisbane. And obviously it's another huge test match because England are one down. They're going to want to bounce back. But what are the plans? What worked for us in the first test? What will we continue to do? And what are some of the adjustments we'll look to make?
Yeah, I think it was a place where we played quite well, and I think the Gabba is going to be pretty similar to that. Where the pink ball game, obviously, we've got the pink ball goat and obviously Starkey playing. It's taken so many wickets, so I think how he bowled. Obviously, had a few bowlers not being able to play that game, but the way he led the attack was amazing. So I think that's what we did really well. Was from his point of view, he just bowled a way that I think that people just sort of like got a bit rattled in the way he was bowling. And then from a batting point of view, obviously we struggled until Heady came out and did that masterclass. So it probably was just individual performances, really. It wasn't exactly a whole team performance, and it was one of those things on those wickets where it just takes one person to stand up and do something amazing. So hopefully it's going to be someone in this game, and hopefully the game goes a bit longer. We have the same result, but it's more of a team-based performance. But Starkey and Heady sort of stole the limelight there. They bowled and batted amazingly. So hopefully it's someone else's turn to step up this game. But I don't know. There's no exact reason why we played really well. I think it was just, as I said, those guys had 2 days out, which was great.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's your turn, mate, because been following your career and, your journey from the NT to Adelaide to Tassie. I actually didn't realise you're the only Australian player to ever come out of the Northern Territory. Does that fill you with some pride?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I know. It is. That's probably one of the things I'm most proud of. Obviously, it's such a footy-dominated place.
Yeah.
And while I love my footy and stuff like that, we're sort of starved of a lot of cricket just because we're opposite seasons, really. To be able to come from the place where it's, it is quite small. It's a big territory, but it's a very small population. So to come from a place where you're pretty limited in the exposure you get from cricket heroes and people that you follow. It's a pretty cool place to be from and to represent.
Who do you support in the footy out of interest?
I follow the Cats.
Are you a Cats man?
Yeah.
Did you get to the granny last year?
I didn't know, thankfully.
Yeah, tough second half, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a painful second half. But, a few of my mates who are Geelong supporters, they went.
Yeah.
But they were there more for Snoop Dogg anyway. So
yeah, some good halftime entertainment. Who are your favourite players? I assume you would have been, an avid follower throughout the period when they won the flags in 07, 09, 11. Give us your top couple of players who you loved from the Cats and who you still love.
Yeah, well, I sort of because there's no AFL team in Darwin, so we sort of Larrakia Cats was my team, so that's why I sort of went for them. And I went watching a game that afternoon, and Cameron Lang was rolling around with his big hair everywhere, and I said it looked a little bit comical, but it was amazing how good he was. So he sort of followed on, and Gary Ablett Jr. just sort of started up at the time, and obviously Cameron Mooney and stuff like that. Those guys were just people I just sort of naturally looked at, and then throughout that period of time, you sort of get to know like a lot of the players there. Obviously Chapman, I was in that grand final when he turned it on. That was sort of one of those things that stick in my mind pretty vividly. So
is that why you show us the hair? Is that why you shaved the head because you wanted to look like Chappie or Gary Ablett?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
exactly right.
I'm the same as you. That's how much I loved. I don't go for Geelong, but I loved that team. Bartel, Joel Corey, Ablett, like that. You look at that team, the midfield was just stacked. I don't know how salary cap worked then, but to have that many good players in a team is like pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, it sounds like they've been in trouble now about it. So they're going well.
Everyone's catching on to them. They're giving everyone farms by the sounds of it.
Exactly right. Good way of doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's get back to the cricket because that's mainly what we're here to talk about. But the Brisbane Test, have you played much cricket in Brizzy before, and what sort of wicket are you expecting with the pink ball? You touched on it briefly, but hopefully not as difficult from a batsman's point of view as Perth.
I think it will still provide us challenges. I think that's. I think we're well aware as a batting group that that's what we're going to come up against. Wickets that are going to be quite challenging for the batters. But I think that suits our team well. We're a team that can be quite adaptable and find ways to score runs as we did in the last game too.
Yeah.
So while they can be fast, fast moving, there's still a chance to make runs. So I think from our point of view, we're going to be well aware that they're going to be tough batting wickets at times. So they could be good. You don't know. It's one of those things you rock up and you just don't know. But if it is, I'm expecting it to be a little bit green and provide some good movement, lateral movement, and maybe a little bit slower than the whacker, which will provide a different challenge, obviously with the slow movement and not as sharp off the seam. But in general, I think it'll be a good even contest between bat and ball. But the first 2 days will be, as a batting group, I think if we can extend our innings out for another 30 or 40 overs, I think that'll be great and sort of get that 250 plus sort of score in that first innings. But yeah, it might change. It might be an absolute floodie. You walk out there and it might be a 500 wicket. So for us, it's sort of just trying to find a way to make runs when it's nipping round and hard, and then and get that 250 plus, and then if it's flat, batting really big and getting that 500 plus sort of score. So
yeah, you spoke about there, the plan as a batting group. This is what I find so fascinating. I was really keen to ask you about today. But in a sport that is a team sport, but relying on individual performance, like it's not like AFL where you're out there, you're handballing, you're kicking each other the ball. I know you're batting in partnerships, but how often do you talk about the collectiveness of what we need together as a batting group, even though that you've got your plan individually to go out in there to execute and get runs? But what for the fans out there that aren't avid cricket lovers, like how do you explain the team element of cricket in a sport that is individual based results?
Yeah, it's something that I've definitely challenged with most of my career, and it's something that I think a lot of the players sort of battle with as well too, because it is an very individually based sport. And I think when you get to a certain level, and to the level we are now, I guess it's sort of allowing people to do what they need to do and not being too stressed about what other people are doing, and sort of going, well, like example last week, Hetty, he's going to go about his game the way he wants to go about it, and that's going to be the most successful way of doing it. Yeah. So not trying to put too many restraints on people when having too many expectations of what they're going to do and to make runs. And if they fail doing that as well, not being too judgmental on that as well too. So from a point of view of like what we do as a team in terms of like team meetings and stuff, it's basically like, we're a great team when everyone nails their own things.
Gotcha. So it's allowing individuality and embracing individuality. Yeah.
Yeah, basically what it's saying, basically if we trust that you're going to get the job done against these bowlers, and when you're out in the middle, you'll find out a way, and then, you have your partner at their end you can have a chat to in the middle, and then have a bit of band in the middle, and then walk back and do your job well. So, and I think it's just the players being aware of what people need, and some players feed off more. Obviously, Marnus, obviously runs between the wickets really well and stuff like that. So for him, it might be a little bit more of that communication around. All right, I'm going to get off strike here.
Yeah.
Well, if it's Hetty, you just stand at the other end and watch. I don't even need to
watch him
talk
slash
to him.
slash fours all day.
Yeah, exactly right. You just sort of stand. And if you got Kez and stuff like that, he doesn't want to talk anyway. So you just don't even bother. I might as well just stand at the end, to be fair, and just watch.
What about Steve Smith? What's he like to bat with?
I've only batted with him in training, and he's obviously quite superstitious about certain things. But yeah, I don't know if it'd be too hard different. I think he'll just get in his zone, and I just got to get him on strike and make sure I'm pumping his tyres up when he's going well. So I think and I throw a bit of bant when I'm out there. I think he's pretty relaxed when he's in between each ball. So I think he'll be okay. Yeah.
You do seem like quite a relaxed character, which I absolutely love. You just seems like you haven't changed one bit from your first class career to living out your test dream of playing test cricket right now. What are some examples of some banter you might have in the middle to keep it light? Is there anything from the game in Perth when you and Travis Head were out in the middle where you were having a chat and having a yarn and had a few moments or a few comments that kept it lighthearted?
Yeah, I think for us, it's like I've always been on, and I've probably evolved a little bit over time, but yeah, probably just making sure once I'm not competing against the ball that I'm enjoying what I'm doing and loving it. So, and Hetty's pretty similar. So when we're out in the middle, it's just talking about it might be, what are we going to do tonight after the game when we win and stuff like that. And it was, all this positive stuff basically, like how fun's this? The Bumyard is shutting up. They're going short ball plan. What a mistake that is, sort of thing. All these little things that like a bit of a joke. For me, I'm always like I'm trying to be Brian Lara. So every time I slash one or do a certain thing, I'm just like, oh, how good was that? I'm Brian Lara now. So
that is awesome.
Yeah. So it's just like those little things sort of make me, or like probably make a lot of us calm. Apart from maybe Kez, who probably just doesn't want to do any of that. But a lot of us are just wanting to joke around once we've competed, especially face that ball. We want to. You just want to be nice and relaxed and enjoy what we're doing. So just like little stuff like that. Or we might just, put out our families in the crowd or what's going on in the Barmy Army and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a lot less serious than the conversation we normally have. We don't really talk tactically. So
because you look on the TV and you see the batsmen come together and touch gloves and you think, oh, they're locking in here. Like they must be talking serious stuff. And footy is the exact same. Like I must admit, at Collingwood the last couple of years, they've really embraced the enjoyment side of things and how that just relaxes players to go out and be their best. And some of the best pre-game speeches, quarter-time speeches are literally blokes not even doing a rev up. They'll either tell a joke or they'll just absolutely stuff up their sentence, get the boys laughing, and everyone goes out. Everyone goes out and dominates. We've had some absolute classic versions of that. But no, that's really cool to hear. Yeah, because I heard a story throughout the week as well. It was when Marnus was batting with Trav Head. I think Trav must have hit a 6 over Joffre. He must have hit him back over his head or something. Yeah,
that's it, yeah.
And Marnus walked down the wicket and he said, from all reports, mate, I know you're trying to act pretty cool here and keep it calm and collected, but that was fucking insane.
Yeah, he's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have said friggin' because he never swears, but...
friggin', okay, yeah. There you go. How close was Paddy Cummins to playing? Because you mentioned you faced him in the nets and he was bowling heat. So that was, about a week ago. So you would have thought he would have been pretty close to go, but the selectors are clearly wanting to be 100% certain before picking him.
Yeah, look, I don't really know exactly what's going there. Look, I thought he was ready to go last week, to be fair. I was facing him thinking, I've not faced him bowl this fast and with such rhythm for a long time, since I've played against him in Shield cricket. Probably doesn't care as much in Shield cricket. So yeah, he was bowling really well. So yeah, I was surprised when he wasn't available for this game either. So
yeah,
but at the same time, we're probably lucky that we've got so many good bowlers at the moment. And obviously Brendan Doggett obviously debuted last week and bowled amazingly, and Scotty Boland obviously played last week and played really well as well too. So yeah, I guess we're just in a position right now where we don't need to rush anyone because we're going well. So
that's true. We got good depth, and having a squad is what it takes, like any sport, I guess, to get the result of what we're after. What about the toll that cricket takes on your body? Like, in footy and other sports, contact sports, it does take a toll. You're colliding and different things. I guess batting, I'm interested in the toll that it takes on your body physically. I know mentally it would require so much concentration, but the fast bowlers, they must really go through it, especially if you're bowling that many overs over that many days at express heat. How do they manage their bodies?
Yeah, it's funny. We're complete opposites, the batters and the bowlers. Where as a batter, we're finish a game, might go have a beer or go do what we want, and then the bowlers are just incredible. Their recovery routines are amazing. They spend most of their time recovering. They spend, like, I've watched a bit of Starkey recently. He's probably the most impressive I've ever seen in terms of his recovery and the way he goes about his life. And they're just like athletes. They're just, they'd be no different to an AFL footballer that finishes the game and they get into everything. They do everything they need to do to get ready for the next game. Where a batter, I've even looked at an ice bath for 6 years. So
your recovery's 10 beers.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just to relax. As you said, probably the difference is the mental based stuff. You've got all this stuff for my things trying to escape cricket and trying to figure out ways to feel as though that I can come back fresh and ready to play again. And from a physical point of view, I probably don't need as much. I've got little things I do. Obviously, I'm still relatively fit, but from a recovery point of view, if we got good days between our next game, I'll probably focus a lot more on just enjoying my time after a game and making sure that I feel as though that I can relax fully and not get into anything else. But yeah, the bowlers are completely different. They're amazing. They're the best I've ever seen in terms of the way how professional they are, and especially both of our bowling group, they're incredible the way they go about it.
What are some of those things for you that you do to get away from cricket? Because I've had to go through that in the back end of my career. I've always been so footy and driven, and having things on the outside to find the release. Like I love doing the podcast as an example, and that fully takes me into a new realm. I get to chat to people like yourself, other star athletes around the world, and that really just takes me to a new sphere. But what is it for you? I know you're big into your guitar, but you're married. I'm not sure if you've got kids, but what are some other things?
Not yet, thankfully.
Not yet?
No, not yet, thankfully. I think it would be I'm probably they're not far away, to be absolutely fair with you, but I understand I didn't understand the benefit of having the other parts of my life, and I'm probably similar to what you said there, where all I wanted to do was just focus on cricket and be completely driven by that. And then I probably just got to a stage in my career where I was like, well, I'm not performing as well as I want to anyway. And finding balance, and not balance, it's not complete utter balance where you have 50-50 sort of thing, but it's like, if I'm 90% cricket, is there a 10% where I can relax after a game and find a way of getting coming back to cricket and enjoying it? And when I come back and enjoy it, I'll compete more and I'll be a better version of myself. So for me, it was, I know, like I said, guitar, fishing I'm massive on fishing, obviously, and then obviously being from Darwin, that's all we did as a kid. And then I like a PlayStation and stuff like that, and obviously just family time. Like I don't really look at my phone very often. I don't really go on anything, social media or anything like that. I don't spend any time doing that. I literally just spend all my time and focus on what I'm doing at the time, try to be completely present, and making sure that I'm being a good husband, and I've got 2 dogs as well, making sure that they're my, Timu kids basically. I'm
with you on that. My dog's a big one. Like I'll never take my phone as well. Every time I walk the dog, that's my time. A golden retriever I've got. What do you got?
I've got 2 little staffies. So
what are their names?
Yeah, so exactly right.
What are the names?
Bane and Ivy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. What about yours?
I got a dog called Nala. I had another golden retriever, Macy, who we lost a couple of years ago. But Nala's a great dog. She's walks off the lead and they're the best. They're just like they're better than any human you'll ever meet sometimes. So they're pretty incredible. Have you?
Absolutely, that's amazing. That's amazing. They walk off lead. My dogs are the worst trained dogs on earth. So
you still love them though, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
What about how has that balance helped your mental health? And you've had some time away from the game in 2020, 2022. You've got away from cricket completely, and you don't have to go into the specifics of that unless you want to. But I think so many people out there, myself included, you're always going through ups and downs and challenges, and everyone has their mental health journey. But if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that and how the balance in your life and other things have got you on track to a point where you've just had your test debut at 31, achieving your lifelong dream.
Yeah. It's hard to reflect sometimes, obviously, because you at the moment I'm feeling really good at myself, and you sort of see it as a distant memory of all the stuff you went through. But at the same time, like I'm probably in the position now where I'm confident and mentally aware of myself and understand what I need to do to be mentally healthy and then physically healthy and all that sort of stuff because of those experiences. So, I was quite OCD driven. I wanted to be the best at everything I did, like every other sportsman really, basically. And that sort of manifested in me just spending hours and hours obsessing about cricket. And that for me, unfortunately, unraveled in the fact that I just couldn't perform, or not perform, but I couldn't even play. I just got so crippled about what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I found it, and that sort of seeped into other parts of my life as well. And I can't go into too much detail with that, but it just manifested in both parts of my world. So from both realms, I was not really enjoying not enjoying it, but just completely debilitated. And then from there, I just didn't understand the way of getting out in terms of cricket was what I loved and being home with my family is what I loved. But at the same time, I didn't want to do both of them. So For me, I just had to figure out a way of breaking that cycle, and obviously taking a break was the way I needed to do it. I'm lucky that I had a supportive network around me at the time. Obviously, cricket has evolved a lot, and sport has evolved a lot in that way. And I probably wouldn't survive in a world 30 years ago, and it's a credit to the way the world's progressed, and also the way sports progressed. And from a point of view of SACA, the South Australian Cricket Association, they were amazing. The way they supported me during that time. Jamie Siddons, the coach, was epic. Tim Nilsson, it was great. And then we went. The next coach, Dizzy Gillespie, came in, and he was great. And then they supplied me with so many great services and so much support during that time that allowed me to, 2 or 3 months off a sport, off a program, and still getting paid. It's a pretty amazing thing for them to do for me. And then allow me to come back, and then I ended up leaving. So, I probably threw it in their face a little bit, but yeah, they were fine with that. I think they understood that me finding a new adventure, a new path might be the best way of going about it. So, it sort of worked out well. Obviously, leaving the Tassie after that, but going through a few mental health breaks at South Australia, and they just supported me really well. And then finding that balance when I went down to Tassie was the key. I said, if I'm going to go do this properly, I'm going to make sure that when I go through anything, that I've got the skills and all that sort of stuff to be able to deal with anything I'm going through, like everyone does. And I probably didn't have those skills. And then I developed the process around how I want to be as a person, and then how I'm going to deal with the pressure of playing cricket, and then what I'm going to do outside of sport to make sure that I'm happy and feel fulfilled outside of sport. So, and that sort of evolved into the guitar, the music, and I probably got a little bit obsessive with that as well too. Don't get me wrong. Probably spent hours and hours playing and drove my wife crazy, but I found a new place where I can be creative and do all the stuff I want to do without the pressure of performance, which is cool.
Thanks so much for sharing that, because firstly, you must be so grateful to SA Cricket, as you mentioned, but I love hearing the detail in which you've really taken control of all those things to fully get your life to a place where you seem so happy now. I'm very much sound similar to you. I've had OCD since 2017, and it's really helped my footy in terms of it's what's made me a great player, because I was obsessed. I would drive, I would work as hard as anyone. I was in every day off. I wouldn't have a day off, but in the end, I was just burning myself out and just absolutely cooked myself. So I'm not sure if you can relate to that as well, but finding balance and other things has been what's really helped. It's taken me a long time to learn. I'm a year older than you, 32, and I still struggle with it today in terms of I'll find the next thing, like yourself, like you mentioned the guitar. For me, it's other things where then I go full tilt at that and you just absolutely burn yourself out. So really cool I didn't realize that was your story, but really cool to hear an athlete that's so open and willing to share that, because that was very similar with my story. So thanks for sharing that.
No, I appreciate that. No, it's an interesting thing, because you as a sportsman, I think it's like, as you said, like your greatest weapon is being committed to what you're doing, but
it can be your biggest weakness.
Exactly right. Like, it just doesn't always evolve in that way that works out well. So
100%. No, thanks so much for that. What about the term baseball gets thrown around plenty? The way England play, obviously they bowl express heat. They're quite aggressive with the bat, and we've seen that. How do we try and exploit that? Is the term baseball brought up in team meetings, and is there a moment in games where you think, okay, this is the time that we can exploit that? Obviously, if they get a run on, it works in their favour too, so it can go both ways.
Yeah, look, at the same time, like, I'll be brutally honest, I don't really listen in team meetings. I'm too concerned about what I'm doing. But in general, I think from what I've noticed, I think a lot of it's based around how they'll bat and making sure that the amount of runs they score quickly can be shut down a bit.
Yeah,
we did that quite well in Perth, where they did score quite quickly. They played some good shots, to be fair, but trying to lessen the damage at times, because we know they're going to provide chances in our catching positions anyway, like in slip, in the slips. They're still going to provide those chances, but they're probably not going to we're happy with them to get singles because I think for us it's about making sure that we limit the boundary damage. So from there, it's just about fields and making sure we do that. And I think Smudge did that really well last week in some strange positions. It was strange for me coming from a position where I've never played against them, and some of the fielding positions they had straight away was quite bizarre, like a 3/4 third man, which is never really used very often in first class cricket. Did cover point pretty quickly, and I think it was used really well. So I think what the captaincy probably led to a little bit of a few of the wickets as well. I think the way that it wasn't just good bowling; it was the fact that we had these semi-defensive fields, but putting our ego aside and not saying we're gonna do the same thing anyway. We're gonna sort of accept that you're going to be aggressive, but we're also going to have catches in. So it was done really well by Steve Smith in the leadership group. But as again, I was just sort of on the boundary watching cop and abuse from the Barmy Army. So from my point of view, I didn't really know a lot what was going on. But I think they did a great job at combating that from a bowling point of view.
Yeah.
And the batting point of view, I think from our our understanding as a batting group, is we all enjoy facing quick bowling. So it was not like that big a deal for us. It's not like fast as fast. Obviously, Jofra is very fast, and they do provide different challenges. But at the same time, the fact is you've got to be able to. And these wickets, the bit of pace actually provides a good understanding of how to play the wicket because it bounces through truly. And you get a good opportunity to leave the ball and actually score off the back foot, which I think a lot of us as a group love doing too. So I think they provide good opportunities to score, which I think is great for us.
That's some really cool insight. Weathers, you've been so generous with your time. So we just want to finish on some shorter form questions because I feel like you're going to give us some pretty good answers with some of the banter and different things that happen on a cricket field, which fans and spectators absolutely love. So we've got a few that have been sent in from some cricketing fans. So we keen to run a few of these through. We'll start with a light-hearted one. But who is your Who is your cricket childhood hero?
My cricket childhood hero was Kumar Sangakkara, a Sri Lankan great.
Yeah, left-hander as well.
Yeah, left-hand genius. He was my favourite.
What about Aussies? What about an Aussie?
Aussies. Well, all my mates used to take the Aussie team when we played in the backyard, so I never got to be them. But if from an Aussie point of view, I used to love Justin Langer was always one of my favourites just because he's another left-hander. Yeah. And then because he was short. Yeah. Matthew Hayden. I could never be Matthew Hayden. I just felt like an imposter being him. So
big unit, yeah.
Yeah, so he was always Justin Langer.
Who's the toughest bowler you've ever faced? Maybe you don't want to say if it's a current opponent, but...
toughest bowler I've ever faced. It's probably someone in first class cricket. Joel Paris is probably the hardest person to face. Left armour from WA, absolute genius. He's probably the hardest to face. He's not very fast, but he's got incredible skills. So from that point of view, but in terms of the big dogs, probably Josh Hazlewood's probably the hardest I've faced in terms of the Australian team. He's someone that's just absolutely destroyed my front pad before. So
who's the best sledger in the Aussie team?
Best sledger. That's a hard one because Hetty would be a good sledger, but his lisp sort of jumps out at the wrong time.
That hurts him.
Yeah, it does.
Can't be as punchy, yeah.
Yeah, it can't be as punchy, but he definitely has a crack. I'm impressed by how much he goes at them, so which is pretty cool. And then, I think from a point of view, we probably lost a bit of little grunt in Davey not being there. David Warner, obviously, but, I wouldn't be playing if it wasn't for him. So, but I'm not sure. I haven't been around enough to know exactly.
You're too busy on the boundary, aren't you? Copping it from the Barmy Army, like you said.
Yeah, exactly right. I think I've copped enough abuse from the Barmy Army, so they're pretty witty. If they're a part of the whole thing, they're probably the best sledgers, to be honest with you.
What were they giving to you? What were they saying to you, the Barmy Army?
Oh, well, it wasn't too original because it didn't need to be. I wasn't out there very long in the first inning. So, they said the shortest debut, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm shit.
That's just as basic as it gets, you're shit.
Yeah, just enjoy your last game. All that sort of stuff. But it was the best ones were the ones that they've already, like the established base players. They were obviously the Steve Smith, we saw you cry on TV, all that sort of stuff. That stuff's pretty cool. And then Mitchell Johnson came on the boundary line. They sort of started bringing his stuff up as well too. So, it's pretty cool how they just go at all the big dogs. I find that pretty cool.
Who's the funniest player in the locker room?
Funniest player? I'm going to say Marnus is probably the funniest.
Is he one of those guys I feel like he's funny because he's not trying to be funny?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, he's, as I said, like he doesn't swear. So because of his religious-based stuff. So his the way he speaks is hilarious because he says friggin' so much, he sort of teeters on the realm of swearing all the time, and he's just constantly speaking. So and he's always up for a good band. He loves the people taking the piss out of him, which is awesome. For someone who's obviously played so much cricket and such a great player, he's just doesn't really care. He just enjoys people banting with him and taking the piss out of him. And Hedy's the same as well. Hedy's, he can't shut him up half the time. So
that's good. It's good to have a couple of characters like that. We only got one more question here. I'm not going to ask you this about you because you seem like a chiller, but superstitions. Who has the funniest superstition in the locker room and what is it?
Funny superstitions. Well, not exactly in the locker room, but Smudger is so anal about no one walking behind the bowlers or like I never really noticed it with any other cricketer, but if you're in his periphery as a batter when he's in the net, he tells you to move. And then I think last night or something we were batting and he was trying to get one of the street lights turned off behind the nets. Obviously, you're not going to turn that off, mate. It's not going to happen. So... he's just so particular with it, and it's amazing. Like people jokingly just walk behind to make him get him pissed off, and he's so quick at picking it up. And it is a superstition thing because at the end of the day, like it has nothing to do with watching the ball because the ball was there. So it's funny. He's probably got a few superstitions that probably the stuff that he wants to keep private, but that's one that I've noticed that. It has nothing to do with batting really. It's just the fact that he just wants everything perfect around him. That's
funny. If you wanted to stir him up, you could quite easily and rattle him by the sounds, but he is hard to rattle because he is such a star. Similar to yourself, mate. Yep. Thanks so much for jumping on the podcast and, mate, so pumped to see what you can do this next test and this upcoming Ashes series, but also your career beyond that. Like, so impressive to hear the journey you've been on from NT to Adelaide to Tassie to, sticking with your goal of wanting to be a test cricketer, which I really admire. There's franchise cricket and all sorts of things, and you put your focus on sticking to what you've always wanted to do and what you love to do. So much respect for you, mate, and you just seem like an absolute legend. So thanks so much for the chat, mate, and go well later in the week. Looking forward to watching you out there.
Thank you so much, Tommy.
Thanks, Weathers. Cheers, mate.